To start this video, I want to state that there truly is a case that could be made to say that all of TV and any entertainment whatsoever that is not directly from the Bible could be deemed immoral, because if it's not drawing us closer to God, then what are we doing, wasting our time with it? Back in the day when Jesus existed, there were no televisions, there weren't certain books that are in existence now, and the argument could be made that the entertainment that they had then should be continued now. And my view on that is we do have modern day entertainment, and moderation is key in a lot of that, and using our proper discernment and using our minds to decide what we're going to put into our brain is important. And so that's why I wanted to talk about Harry Potter today, just because it is something that is strong on my heart, and I think that a lot of clarification could be used toward. So I'm Allie Marie. Welcome to My Catholic Perspective. I'm a born and raised Michigander. It's a snowy day here in Michigan, and I am a Ravenclaw, which is why I'm wearing blue. So I am a Harry Potter fan. I grew up with Harry Potter. I haven't always been Catholic, so I converted Catholic when I was 21 and had seen all of the Harry Potters and read all the Harry Potters as I was Protestant, as I was growing up. So the main argument that I hear against Harry Potter is that there's witchcraft in the books. And I have to say that just because there's witchcraft in there doesn't mean that somebody necessarily believes in the witchcraft. I can sit here all day long and say, Accio, Bible, Accio, stuffed animal, and Alohomora at the lock, and nothing is going to happen because witchcraft isn't real. And there is a huge part of that to consider when we start arguing about witchcraft being in it. Now, like I talked about last week about how I don't watch R-rated movies anymore, I think it's important, if somebody struggled with a Ouija board, or they used to do incantations or something like that, maybe they should stay away from Harry Potter. Maybe that would be a good thing for them. But for the average person that is looking for entertainment, Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling was a member of the Church of England, which, do you know who else was? C.S. Lewis. Yeah, Chronicles of Narnia, C.S. Lewis, all of his stuff. One of the greatest Christian writers ever. J.K. Rowling she was a part of the Church of England, now she's a part of the Church of Scotland, and she'd made that transition while she was writing Harry Potter, but nevertheless identifies as a Christian, and she stated that if people read her books with a Christian perspective, knowing that she was a Christian, there would be a lot of plot lines that she could see coming, which I predicted how Harry Potter would end, which, spoiler alert, 7th book has been out long enough, so I feel comfortable, talking about it. But, I had predicted that Harry was going to have to die, but then he would live because his soul had been split in two. And, the whole concept of Voldemort splitting his soul into 7 pieces, and the tragedy, the fact that he had to murder somebody in order to do that, and, the philosophical and theological aspects that are in Harry Potter are just as those that are in Lord of the Rings. You could make the argument in Lord of the Rings, you look at the elvish people, he wrote, why can't I think of his name? Tolkien. Tolkien wrote the elvish language. He actually created this whole thing where people could view Rivendell as a sanctuary, as heaven. They could be looking forward to that. They could take all of these pieces and skew it. And, obviously the elvish people, they had powers. Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf the White, he was able to use his staff to, there was obvious witchcraft and the dead people and all kinds of really evil things in that book and in those movies. But the ultimate goal of it was that good triumphs over evil. That is the storyline of Lord of the Rings. That's the storyline of the Chronicles of Narnia. When we look at, animals can talk. Are we going to start condemning that one because animals can't actually talk and people shouldn't believe that? Or maybe it's because it's personifying animals, and we don't want that because people are personifying animals more than they're personifying the preborn, the unborn. And so we should not be watching Chronicles of Narnia because it makes animals too likable. We can take anything and say that's bad. That's not good. And at the end of the day, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, obviously, Tolkien, J.r.r. Tolkien, was Catholic, and we know this. He and C.S. Lewis, went to dinner parties together and stuff, and they, went to cocktail hours and discussed theology and all these different things. So Lord of the Rings has the ring, right? Like, my precious. It's just whatever. And I'm sorry, I'm such a nerd. I know these things by heart, but whatever. So, the ring is there, though. It's my precious. What's the ring in Harry Potter? And the Sorcerer's Stone? The Sorcerer's Stone. I mean, it's like, it's this thing that's going to bring someone so much power. And you see this boy choosing good over evil, even from the start saying, don't put me in Slytherin, don't put me in Slytherin. And he's like, oh, but you could do great things. They're like, we can all succeed whether we pursue good or pursue evil. And with evil does come power. The devil is real. He does have powers. He can, that's why people who seek themselves, who seek pride, who will not look beyond themselves, they still find success, because the devil does carry power. He's the prince of this world. He does seduce people and allows them to believe that they are succeeding. And the whole story of Harry Potter is that Harry doesn't choose that, and he triumphs. He goes and there's sacrifice, people die in place of that. People are willing to sacrifice their lives, which is all of what Jesus was all about. And so to condemn Harry Potter simply because it uses actual Latin for its spells, I think is an unfortunate loss, because there is so much that can be gained to learn why someone would choose good, how evil still has power, but good can still overcome that. Good is redeemed. And there's just so much to be had there. And to look at the fact that J.K. Rowling is a Christian. She did write it with Christian intent, with Christian background, just as C.S. Lewis wrote Chronicles of Narnia, just as Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and all of these other things that are in a fantasy world, because that's what Harry Potter is. It's a fantasy world. And she just happened to be able to make it reality. She happened to make it because that's what good fantasy is, right? You're able to read it and you enter into this world and you're able to fully imagine it and fully see it playing out, which you end up seeing in the movies, which obviously, all movies leave out parts of the book, and that's fine. But the castle comes to life, and this whole fantasy world is there, and she makes it realistic, which is good. That's what a good author does. It's what a good writer does. And so just to condemn it just because, you say, oh, well, they used real Latin, it's not real. You say, oh, well, there's witchcraft in there. It's that's nice. Witchcraft is fake. Like I said, I could sit here and say all the spells in the world and my book is never going to come to me. I have to get up and go get it. And my husband and I, we actually went to Harry Potter World for our anniversary because we both like Harry Potter. I've really found a lot in it. And it's just it's a fantasy land. It's just like Star Wars, we can't actually travel galaxies away and this and that and all of these fake creatures and whatever else. And you can argue, oh, well, that's so fake that obviously it's fake. Same with Chronicles of Narnia, like I was talking about earlier. Well, animals obviously can't talk, so it's fake enough that we should be okay with that it's okay. They've gone far enough into the fantasy that it's past reality. But Tolkien, she used an actual language for her spells, so that's not okay. And it's very it contradicts itself, because it is a fantasy land. It is just it's all made up stuff, and just because the words mean, I don't know, what does Accio mean? Does it mean come here? Just because they mean actual things doesn't mean that the incantations are real or that they're ever going to work. And yeah, it's like Santa Claus or Saint Nick or, anything like that, the Tooth Fairy. You can make the argument of, oh, well, we don't want our children to believe in it because then, we were lying and they believe in something that's not real. And it's just you know what? Come on. It's not doing harm. I remember when I was younger and my brother too, we were oh, maybe we'll get letters from Hogwarts and this and that. It's just kind of that hopeful silliness that comes in the fantasy. And like I said, that's what a good author does. That's what a good writer does, is they bring you into their world. And ultimately, if Harry Potter ended with Voldemort triumphing and like Harry died and Voldemort took over the world, sure, I could sit here and say, okay, maybe it's not a great book to let children read, or maybe it's not a great book that anybody should read. But at the end of the day, it is good triumphing over evil. It is like trying to find the way to reach your greatest potential, how to be the best version of yourself, sacrificing yourself for other people, looking for light in darkness. I mean, there are all those quotes that go on. I mean, it's about love, like Snape's love toward Lily, and the love that's in Harry's skin because his parents sacrificed themselves for him. Like, it just has so many theological things that line up with the Catholic faith. I just don't understand how or why somebody would let, or a lot of people let, the fact that she used real Latin and saying that it involves witchcraft to actually stop them or like to discourage others from reading it, because it's fantasy. So maybe you have other arguments against Harry Potter. I'm not really sure. That's the main one that I've always heard, and it like drives me up a wall because like, sure, there's witchcraft in it. Witchcraft isn't real. So, and like, we're not reading Harry Potter to study, you know, the witchcraft stuff. We're not reading it to learn how to do it. It just happens to be a part of, you know, like they're learning it, and, you know, I'm never going to be able to apparate and suddenly be somewhere else, and maybe in heaven that exists, I don't know. But there's just so much in there it's just a fantasy world. It's not real. Anyone who's reading it knows it's not real, and no matter what we do, it's still not going to be real. So I would say it's modern day entertainment. It's something that we can all enjoy, something that we can relate with others on. Like I say, I'm a Ravenclaw, and I can assure you, and I hope that some of you are Ravenclaws too, you know? We seek wisdom. We like reading books. Like, that's what a Ravenclaw is. Gryffindors are brave and they're loyal. Like Slytherin, obviously, they're like crafty and they're sly and, you know, very like strategic. And there are just a lot of different, like the different houses even just bring about a sense of community and togetherness that gives us an opportunity to have a conversation, you know? It's like, why, there are obviously certain ones that when we use our discernment, like I would never be able to justify connecting with someone on Game of Thrones, just because it's like I would be embarrassed. Like, it's like, oh yeah, you've seen that, I've seen it too. Like I watched the first episode and it was like, there's no way I'm watching this. I'm not gonna, like, that's why I don't watch R-rated movies. I'm not gonna litter my brain. I'm not gonna sense it or desensitize my brain with this stuff. Like, it's just not worth it. So we have to use our discernment, like focusing on what's pure and good and true, and Harry Potter happens to show that good triumphs evil. So I'm done ranting about this. If you have other arguments, I mean, I'd be happy to do a follow-up video to talk about other arguments you may have against Harry Potter, because I do, like, I'm like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings nerd. Like, I know a lot about that stuff. So I'd be happy to do another video if you guys have further arguments against it. I'll keep my eye out in the comments for that. But otherwise, yeah, let me know too if this made sense to you. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not saying you have to read Harry Potter or something. Like, if you'd rather read the Bible than read Harry Potter, that's fine. If you'd rather watch VeggieTales than watch Harry Potter, that's fine. Like, I'm just saying that if you do happen to enjoy Harry Potter, enjoy it. It's fine. It's like, it's similar writing to Chronicles of Narnia or Lord of the Rings. There's nothing different about it. She created a fantasy world and she did a darn good job at it. So that's all I have to say. So I pray that God is able to grant you the resources that you need to draw closer to Him and to those around you, and I hope that you're able to make it a great day. I'll see you next week, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. God bless.